Have you ever met an open socialist before and sat and talked with them on a porch?
No, you drank it yet.
You.
We talked to real swing voters. What they told us will shock you.
Am I the only one?
Yeah.
Sometimes politics is a lot less straightforward than we're led to believe. Especially in a place like this. Elliot County looks like any other part of rural Kentucky, but it's not. In fact, it might have the weirdest politics of any place in the country. That's because Elliot County voted for Democrats in every presidential election for 144 years straight. FDR, Truman, JFK, LBJ, Carter, Clinton, Obama, and then... In 2016, vote for Donald Trump?
Yep.
2020?
Yep.
2024?
Yep. Definitely.
The single largest swing from Obama to Trump happened right here. But a few years later, something just as surprising happened. Elliot County voted for Governor Andy Beshear, a Democrat. So what's the deal with Elliot County? Is it just an outlier? Or is there something deeper going on here?
It's because of the internet, bro. These guys don't have internet. Come on.
Something with implications that could reach far beyond Eastern Kentucky. Did you hear that? Is that on camera?
Here's one. You might recognize what's going on. I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. If you told me you paid me $100,000 to tell you what's going on here, I would be broke.
Yeah.
That guy is Donnie. He runs the Big Four store in Elliot County. Here you'll find Union stickers, Trump shirts, and a rare collection of fine art made by Donnie himself. So how many generations are you in Elliot County, and who's this?
That's my dad. He built the house in 1950, and that's the house I got now. I've been here all my life, tarred pipe fetter, been in the store business.
It's not so stupid for saying they have no internet. Man, I'm fucking joking. Calm down, okay? Holy shit. Calm your fucking bitch ass down. I fucking rip on goddamn bicoastal elitists who just say these guys are like racist monsters on a fucking daily basis, okay?
For 24 years, I mean, some of the best people you meet around here.
Elliot is home to some 7,000 people, 99% white. Aside from a few churches, a gas station, and a prison, there's not a whole lot here. But it is known for one thing. This county, it's the only one in the country that has voted 144 years straight for Democrats. And then it flipped 45 points to Trump. Only county in America that did that. How do you explain that? Why did such a radical shift happen? What's your understanding of that?
Well, I don't care what, you know, if I was a coon hunter and I bought a dog and I sell coon hides and my dog won't tree a coon, I'm gonna get me another one. Same way with these two guys. Biden ain't done nothing for me, and I'm gonna switch to a new dog.
What do you think of George W. Bush?
Piece of shit. I started out a Democrat because my father was. And that was just something, it's just like your last name. You're a Democrat.
You know, growing up, I was always taught you gotta vote Democrat, vote Democrat.
They still think Democrats are Dixiecrats? Yeah, dude. That's why they voted for the black president twice. The fuck? No. Like, party loyalty might come from Dixiecrat sentiment originally. But, like, these guys voted for Obama twice, dude. The fuck?
Vote Democrat.
What did it mean to be a Democrat? Was it connected to anything?
That is just how the county went. The Democrats was giving money for the county, and we were trying to get roads fixed, trying to, you know, make this county something.
Yeah.
And that's who was helping us.
When a county votes for one party for 144 years straight, it can be hard to know where that kind of loyalty even comes from. Some folks say that FDR's New Deal had something to do with it. The New Deal put millions to work building roads and schools and bridges, created Social Security, and established by law the right to form a union. And for decades,
he's explaining that, by the way. At some point, a Democratic president did something monumental for their family history, and they honor that pretty long. This is it.
Cemented the idea that Democrats were a party for the working class.
Democrats were looked at for the poor people. Yep, they were for the poor people.
Our great-great-grandparents were Democrats, and, you know, just taught through the years from FDR on. They believed that was the union support. And it has somewhat changed in this area in the last few election cycles, if you will.
Yeah.
It's changed drastically, honestly.
As recently as the mid-90s, Kentucky was a Democratic stronghold. Democrats controlled the state house, the governor's mansion, and the majority of congressional seats. But eventually, things began to shift. The party of workers and unions became champions of free trade and Wall Street. Democrats stopped chasing blue-collar voters in rural areas and shifted their attention to white-collar voters in the suburbs. And that left a vacuum that Republicans, who supported basically the same corporate agenda, were happy to fill. By 2012, Elliot County was the last rural county to vote for a Democrat in a presidential election.
This is why I always maintain the position that, like, you got to offer people something, and that something is almost always progressive economic policies. If you don't do that, if you don't actually deviate from the Republican Party on that front, and the Republicans will never actually be on board with progressive economic policies, if you don't improve people's material conditions, then the Republicans are going to come and sweep in and talk about culture war shit. And that's going to be salient. That's going to be the only thing that these guys inevitably give a shit about. And that's precisely what happens in this circumstance. Okay? That's what it is. The same principle exists for Hispanic voters in the South. Okay? Texas Latinos, okay, would be voting Democrat till the fucking cows come home if the Texas Democrats were actually fucking fighters. You know, if you had like 10 more Greg Kazars in Texas, it would be a blue safe haven, okay? But they don't. So then the Republicans come in and take advantage of the lack of interest from the Democrats offering people something that they want, and focus on other shit that they care about.
Not just in Kentucky, but across all majority white counties in the South. Then, 2016 rolled around.
Sadly, the American dream is dead.
Bring it back.
But if I get elected president, I will bring it back.
I think a lot of it is that we're tired. I'm not saying that Donald Trump's not crooked. I'm not saying Joe Biden's not crooked. They're all crooked.
Yeah.
But, you know, whenever we get an extra $30 or something in our paychecks, that makes a difference. I'm doing hay to try to feed the kids. I'm doing everything that I can know to do.
Yeah, they think that talking about funding the police, securing the border, or jingoism about military will win these guys over. They think Trump is better on all those things. Exactly. This is my point on fucking immigration. These guys, they're not going to be like, oh, well, I heard that Kamala Harris wanted to push a border control bill. Like, they already voted for Trump twice. You know what I mean? They already voted for Trump twice. Trump came in and swept them. These guys are not going to turn around and be like, well, seems like Trump is being hypocritical about the border bill situation. Okay. It's quite cynical what the Republicans are doing here, attempting to use the border as a talking point to keep winning votes.
As, you know, not only a parent,
Yeah.
but as a person, you know.
Is that getting harder?
It's getting harder.
It's getting harder as time goes on.
Yes.
How much opportunity is there for kids that are born in this county? And do most of them come back and live here?
Most of them, there's nothing here to do.
Everything good come to Elliot County has been with a union job. You go away somewhere to work, drive 2 hours, come home, hoping to retire before you got hurt or crippled. That's the only people that have done well here.
Like the rest of the country, Elliot County has seen a dramatic decline in unions, which went hand in hand with stagnating wages. At the end of the 80s, the median household income in Elliot sat at $37,000, adjusting for inflation. Today, it's about $39,000. In other words, they haven't seen a raise in over 30 years, while the cost of living has only gone up.
Even after 140 years of voting for Democrats, we have lived not in poverty, not near the poverty line, in extreme poverty. The poverty level being so hard. It was like, does he have a rope to throw us? And that's what it was.
Trump wasn't getting votes from New York City and LA and all these big towns. He was getting votes from these little counties all across America.
Yeah.
I think it's his anger, and everybody else in this country is angry. His anger filled his campaign, and it was like, oh, I felt this for such a long time. Someone's relating to me.
We hear this phrase, why do people vote against their interests? Listen, it makes me mad because that's telling us we're dumb, and we're not.
Andy Bashir is the governor of Kentucky. In 2019 and in 2023, Bashir pulled off something most people thought was impossible. He won as a Democrat in Trump country.
Yeah, I mean, some of this stuff is kind of crazy. Take a look here.
Both times he won Elliot County.
I certainly think, at least for me, winning Elliot County was about waking up every day focused on the same issues that Kentuckians wake up and worry about. It's not the outrage of the day in Washington, D.C. It's things like, do I have a good job, one where I can afford to raise my family? Who is moving my life forward?
Bashir won partly by distancing himself from the National Democratic brand, which has become toxic in Kentucky. But he's not a moderate either. He ran as a pro-union candidate, campaigned on raising teacher pay, and implementing universal pre-K. And like many folks in Elliot County, Bashir traces his political roots back to the New Deal.
FDR showed up, and he produced. And my grandparents met on a WPA project. They were Democrats their entire life, and FDR was a major reason why.
That approach has informed the way he's governed.
Kentucky is one of the only southern states that has seen growth in union membership each of the last 2 years, and it is significant. I mean, we're building the 2 biggest battery plants on planet Earth. They're being built by organized labor.
And a Zen plant, baby. Shouts out Philip Morris. $300 million Zen plant being built in Kentucky as we speak. Excellent.
These projects were possible in part thanks to trillions of dollars in investments that passed under Joe Biden. But the jobs are a 3-hour drive from Elliot County, so it's unclear if those investments will translate to votes.
Did Governor Bashir earn your vote?
Yes, he did.
Did Joe Biden earn your vote?
No. The way President Trump ran the United States from a Kentuckian's perspective felt better to me than the way President Biden has run the United States. I don't really know how to dive into that any deeper. It's a perception. It's odd that I'm torn here because I support Governor Bashir every day. Governor Bashir has been great for this state.
Bashir has shown that Democrats can win in Elliot County, but he's still...
They just announced a $232 million expansion on the Zen factory in Kentucky already. Yeehaw!
Still isn't putting up numbers like Trump. No one is. What's it take to...
They're building 2, one in Kentucky and one in Colorado. Philip Morris, baby!
Earn the vote in Elliot County, and how do you think Democrats win it back?
I don't know. I mean, I honestly don't know. I can't answer that, and it's going to be lopsided again. People around here don't really feel what happens in D.C. affects them that much. I mean, they never feel it personally, other than we go to the gas pump and it's $3.33 or $3.35 or whatever it is. We're only seeing that, and so many people, you know, they want somebody to blame, I think.
Him saying I can't explain why Trump is better is just a perception. Is why Trump has their votes locked in. Yeah, vibes.
All of these people, by the millions they're coming in, they are destroying your social...
I mean, vibes born out of like their underlying material circumstances. The anger and resentment that they feel in their hearts for the Democratic Party stems from years and years of voting for the Democrats and getting nothing in return for it. And the Democrats basically fucking leaving them behind.
Social Security and your Medicare.
Fear is at the heart of Trump's politics. And few issues bring up more fear than the southern border. Where's the border rank for you in the list of, political issues?
This is the funniest thing, because ain't no Mexican motherfuckers coming to Kentucky, bro. Especially to this neighborhood. You know what I mean? Like, the fuck do you mean the border is my biggest issue? I mean, they are. They're just not going to this fucking neighborhood, okay? You know where they're going? They're going to the fucking trailer park down the street to the poultry facility, okay? That's where they're going. It's true. In southern states where you have all this like agricultural production and you have all these fucking poultry facilities, meat packing plants, shit like that, you will always see trailer parks right next to the fucking factory. That's where all of the undocumented migrants are. And they were shipped there by the fucking facility itself. We actually have lots of Latinos in Kentucky because of all the farm jobs. Oh my God, I already said that, man. I'm saying that right now as you're writing it in the chat. Oh my God, every single person has to be like, actually, I know, dude, I know. They're just not coming here.
Does that matter?
One.
It's number one?
Yes.
How long have you felt the way that you do about the border?
Probably in the last 2 years. The way they're letting them come in, and it's like, you know, it's like there's got to be a stop to it somewhere.
Why do you think so many people are coming up across the border?
Well, it has to be, they've got to be a hell of a spot down there. I mean, I can understand what's going on.
By the way, this is precisely why this very same guy could be convinced for amnesty, as in the same breath say that he wants mass deportation. Straight up. Every single Republican is like this, dude. Every single American is like this.
You just want something better.
What are those forces that...
Isn't that a huge L in multiple ways? It gives credibility to their taking our jobs narrative, though the company's fault, not the immigrants. And from another perspective, it's modern slavery. Yeah, no shit. The flow of undocumented migrants coming into the country is used by American corporations, specifically in the agricultural industry, as a way to depress wages overall. But the solution to that is not to fucking engage in mass deportation, which is never going to happen regardless. It's just a fucking thing. And if it would happen, it would be insane. But the way to engage with that is by documenting them and allowing them to unionize alongside the rest of the labor force so that like wages can go up for every single person. So they can no longer be used as a depressive pool of labor against the documented labor pool. That's the point.
That are keeping us on the road, whether you're coming from Kentucky or Honduras? Why are people moving around?
This is literally what you've been saying for the past few days. People's feelings about the border are new. What? No, past few days. I've been saying this for the past decade. Not past few days, chatter. I've been saying this for the past few years, for the past decade. And I've been saying it because it's true.
Feed their family. It's not here. That's what's broke up community too, because you had to move away from your family. You got brothers you hadn't seen in 10 years because they're stuck in Michigan on an hourly job.
They're leaving horrible conditions to come here. I get it.
Right.
I understand that.
Right.
But there has to be a right way of doing it. Where is our funding for those people? Why are we not putting it back into our Social Security, into our veterans?
Why aren't we doing that?
You tell me. You're the leftist.
Yeah. So one of the things that I am always thinking about too is people who are in that situation, or working people who don't have the luxury to not go to work. Mm-hmm. They'll look around at other working people and say, I can't get by because of what you're doing or something. And meanwhile, in the background, we're adding more billionaires year after year after year. These people having not just $1 billion, but 10 and 20 or $200 billion. Where do they fit into this situation where somebody who's cutting hay in 90-degree weather to feed the kids, where do the billionaires fit into that equation?
Good luck to them. I'm glad that they have it. But how many people did they hurt to get it? And 9 times out of 10, they're high in a political world.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And they're using government funds and what they know on the insider to make that money.
You said recently, quote, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do.
You better believe it.
So what specifically did they do?
That was, by the way, this was part of the reason why Trump was so fucking popular. He said, I'm a billionaire. I knew how to manipulate the system. I literally paid for half of these people's fucking salaries and their congressional runs. And that's precisely what people responded to. They were like, oh my God, that's great.
Do. If I ask them, if I need them, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand. When I need something from them 2 years later, 3 years later, I call them. They are there for me. And that's a broken system.
When it's people coming across the border versus, say, billionaires or something like that, who's got the most influence over the problems that you think we face as a country?
Millionaires.
Yeah.
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 Do you think you have more in common with migrant from Mexico or Donald J. Trump?
Great question.
A migrant from Mexico.
Yeah.
A migrant from Mexico. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because we're out here working to survive to feed our families.
There are a lot of theories about why a place like this would go for a billionaire like Trump. Maybe it's because Trump said the quiet part out loud. That politicians in both parties had abandoned the working class. Maybe he gave them someone to blame for their problems. Immigrants, queer kids, radical socialists. But here's another theory. They voted for Trump because both parties felt captured, caught up in a system that no one here could influence.
In their mind, they thought Trump was going to save us. He's not a politician. He's going to be a little bit different. It was completely a lie. We're just in such a dire need for things to get better that they're grasping at any straw that they can reach for.
Andy Beshear offered one alternative, an old-school approach that reaches for what the Democratic Party used to be, a party that stood with the working class in small towns and in big cities. But Beshear is fighting an uphill battle. Even in a county that voted blue for 144 years, Trump is still winning by huge margins. How do you compete with that? Maybe the answer is to do something that Trump would never do. Unite the working class by taking on the biggest threat we face.
I just don't like the big guy because...
Is someone not fully dialed in? This fully confused me how people can think in such contradictory ways. What do you mean? They just have no faith in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party never fucking offers them anything. That's it. It's at the heart of what I fucking talk about on a daily basis. Democrats have completely given up on trying to captivate people. They have switched their efforts into white collar voters. That's it. And every single year, every single election cycle, more of the blue collar vote, especially in southern states, hemorrhages and either relegates to the non-voter status, or they even end up sometimes with a unique case like Donald Trump, move into the Republican category completely.
The big guy's screwing you probably, or he wouldn't be the big guy. You know what I'm saying?
If we keep fighting amongst ourselves, that makes it easier for politics.
There is something really funny about this, by the way, because it's like, something really funny about this is that, like, remember JD Vance and how, like, I've talked about quite a bit about how he, like, has a weird way of, has a liberal, bi-coastal liberal elite attitude in the way that he talks about white people, where it's like almost racist against like rural whites. A lot of libs in this chat also have the same energy. You know? They do. They only recognize their class consciousness at the top of the hour when there's a 3-minute ad break. Then they're reminded of the somber reality that if they do not subscribe for $6 or for free with a Twitch Prime, they're going to see a 3-minute ad break just like everybody else. I remember my libbed up friend trying to dismiss the idea of economic anxiety with this because it's true. But the point is, they work hand in hand, okay? Yes, of course, white supremacy plays a massive role. But the only way that it plays a massive role is if one party is not offering them anything and the other party is offering them something. And that something is culture war issues and, bigotry. That's why I always talk about how universal healthcare has to be universal. There's no like Medicare for all except Nazis. Why do I say that? Why? Because when you solve the underlying material inequalities, this doesn't automatically make racism perish. It just makes it much harder for people to be racist. When there's economic instability, when there's economic volatility, people are way more predisposed to succumb to racist narratives. When your basic needs are met by one party, you're less likely to fucking shit on that party. When neither party is representing your basic needs, then all of a sudden, you're going to look for other shit. And Republicans are very good at the other shit. And this isn't just an American phenomena. This is a global phenomena with the rise of fascism everywhere in the Western world.
Politicians to get a hold of you.
Well, how do we get to a situation where the working class is united around common interests? Do you think that's possible?
I would love to see it. Because if you could get the working class to stick together, you know, maybe it would make a difference. It'd have to.